Okay, we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our LinkedIn Live. I'm Adam Bloomberg, Senior Client Success Advisor here at IMS. Today, we're joined by William Toles, an experienced civil trial lawyer with Munch Hart in Dallas, Texas. The discussion will be led by our very own Chris Dominick, Senior Strategy and Jury Consulting Advisor here at IMS. They're going to cover William's approach to trial preparation, his methods for building narratives, using mock trials to refine those narratives, and how he establishes trust with the jury early on. Chris, you ready? Over to you.
Hey, thanks, Adam. William, so good to see you today.
Good to see you as well.
Oh man, I've been looking forward to talking to you.
Likewise.
This last case that we had together was really fun. One of the things I noticed while we were working together was that you're really spread out there. You've got all sorts of causes you're working with. You seem to be pretty dedicated to a broad array of things, and yet you're in trial winning all the time. So what's going on? How does that make sense to regular folks?
I don't know that I'm winning all the time, but no, I think for me it's really important to be involved in your community. I grew up in Dallas, born and raised here, went away to school, came back, blessed to come back and be here, and I feel like there's so many wonderful things going on in Dallas. It's just, to me, to be a part of the community is something special. So I feel like that also allows me to be a better person, be a better lawyer, be able to do the best that I can as far as representing my clients.
Yeah, it's fun to watch. So before we conducted the mock trial in our last case, we're working for the Goliath in our David versus Goliath. And we got together to make sure that we had both sides of the arguments figured out, basically, and that we were adopting all the best themes we could. One of the things I noticed when we were in that session, that strategy session, was that I didn't have to have the same conversation with you that I do with some people, which is we need to kind of skip the corporate commercial because it hurts the credibility of our side a lot of times. And then it kind of sell that to people. Can you tell me how you were already at that place? I really want to know.
I think for me, I got my start trying cases as assistant city attorney in Dallas, and for that, I guess it was a little over a year, and then I moved on to personal injury, primarily on the defense side, car wrecks, product liability, that sort of thing. So I feel like with that background, you look at cases a little bit differently. I think there's kind of a humanistic approach or a humanistic side that you don't always see in commercial cases. Mm-hmm. So sometimes, in my experience, it allows you to kind of connect with the jury a little bit more. It also allows you to kind of present your case in a different manner.
Yes. Yeah, okay, that explains a lot. So when we get to the mock trial, utilizing what we think we already know about a lot of these cases, you go and play the other side, and you basically let us have it the entire time with this big company profits over people thing. And I think it got us a good test. In the process of doing that, we got feedback on some of our witnesses that was pretty interesting. We had some people that did not as well as we'd hoped, but when we dug into some of their components of credibility and some of the tools that we use, we found that they had really just one or two areas that that allowed us to develop them and work with them in witness preparation before trial. One in particular was just somebody was considered trustworthy but not likable. Can you talk a little bit about what you saw in that experience and what we did about it?
Yeah, I think for me, when I get a case, my thought is always, what's it going to look like if you try this case? It's not, hey, we kind of go through the motions and, okay, we're actually going to go to trial. I think it's very important when the case comes in for you to try and visualize what it's going to look like to try the case. What are the pros? What are the cons? Credibility is very important. Obviously, if a jury is listening to you and they don't really find you credible, that's a problem. If a jury is listening to a witness, they don't like them, they anger them, they get them pissed off, I think that obviously is not a good thing. So going back to the mock trial that we had, I think it's figuring out these are the deficiencies with this particular witness, and you now know what those deficiencies are, particularly if it's a witness who's on your side. So what can I do as far as how can I counterbalance the perceived negatives that were obvious in this mock trial. And I think that was one of the big things that kind of helped us, because instead of you being someone who's been involved in this case for a number of years, you've done this, you've done that, you don't really think about how this person comes across, having a group of people who know nothing about this case, know nothing about this individual, they now have an opportunity to lay eyes on them. And do they get a good vibe? Do they get a bad vibe? It's very helpful. To me, it's also kind of advantageous to you, because you now know these are the problems that I have, these are the challenges, so perhaps I need to do this differently with other witnesses, or perhaps I need to do something different as far as kind of the narrative for my case, or also what can we, as in this case, what can we do to try and work on these deficiencies in advance of trial?
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. During the trial prep we worked on, I couldn't help but notice your collaboration with in-house counsel was really functional. Not that it isn't always, it's just that you can see different layers of function depending on the case, depending on the different cultures of the outside law firm and the inside counsel. Can you talk a little bit about your approach there?
Yeah, so I think this was a unique situation because it was a matter in which we were hired by the client to try this case. Some of my other clients, I've had long-standing relationships with them, so I know about their brand, I know what they're about. In this particular matter, I thought it was a really good relationship because we had been brought in to try this case. We knew the facts of this case, we knew what the allegations were, we knew a little bit about the client and the brand, but having that dialogue with in-house counsel was incredibly beneficial as far as this is what we're about, this is our story, this is our brand, this is what we want people to know about us. So, I mean, even to take it a step further, it's, hey, go and have the hands-on, one-on-one experiences with our employees. Talk to them about why they work here, what makes them happy. Go and look at the particular client's business, see what it is that's made them successful. So I think when you see those things firsthand, when you have that interaction, when you have that dialogue, it allows you to kind of create a narrative so that a jury's not necessarily just thinking, oh, there's this big corporation and they're bad. It's, this is what we're about and this is what's important to us. And I think you're only able to really sell that story, to tell that story, when you kind of roll up your sleeves and get involved and understand what the company is truly about.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. And it's a great way to address the problem of, well, if I can't just say it to people because they won't believe it, how do I achieve that? Okay, last thing, I've been dying to ask a style question because there is a big difference between style and performance, but they can contribute to each other. When I saw you in basically on your feet doing your thing, I noticed you were really calm but direct. You've got a style that really is kind of two sides of this of different approaches meshed into one. Can you talk about the evolution of that?
I think it's really just being humanistic and trying to relate to the people on the jury. I mean, for me, I feel like, just going back to law school, the importance of trying to connect with the people on your jury. And for me, it's sometimes my voice might change to emphasize a point. Sometimes I might repeat some things. I don't know. I mean, I've heard people talk about going to church and picking up on things that you see at church. I mean, I go to church and there are times when the minister's said or done something and I'm like, okay, yeah. And I kind of write that down. So I think the little things, but also realizing you can only be who you are. When I was a younger lawyer, obviously way before the days of COVID, I can remember the lawyers that I worked with saying, hey, when you go to the courthouse for a hearing, pop in this courtroom and see who's in there. Pop in that courtroom, see who's in there. And you learn or you hear about these really good trial lawyers and you go in and you try and observe them, or you hear someone's in trial. And I think you kind of pull little pieces from different people, plaintiff lawyers, defense lawyers. What do you feel like you can emulate? What do you feel like works, doesn't work? So I think it's really just kind of, and it's a work in progress. I mean, I've been practicing for a long time, and if I hear one of the lawyers that I've just, know is a really good lawyer in town, I try to make it to the courthouse to watch them because I feel like you can always learn. But I think it's really just kind of picking little things from those different lawyers, as well as trying to read your jury trying to get the eye contact, trying to kind of connect.
Oh yeah, I think you're doing a great job of highlighting this issue of regardless of where you are in your career, you can always learn something. Continuous improvement is so important, and yet it's a challenge at certain stages of your career, right?
Yeah, and I think, I feel like jurors are usually pretty good judges of character, so there are times when people put it on a little too thick and they kind of overcompensate for things. And I think it's apparent to me, but there have also been instances in which you talk to a juror afterwards and they're like, yeah, I didn't believe that person. I could tell that person wasn't really sincere. There were things that person did in court where you could tell that they were kind of on, but then they didn't do that again, and it's kind of like, okay, well, that's not the genuine person. That's not who they are. So I feel like just being yourself is big because jurors don't miss anything. They're very observant. They pick up on everything. And you have to remember that.
Yeah, it's great stuff, William. Thanks so much for being here. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good seeing you.
Likewise.
IMS has served trusted law firms and corporations worldwide for more than 30 years and over 65,000 cases. As a strategic partner for the full case lifecycle, our integrated teams provide specialized advisory support, expert witness services, litigation consulting, visual advocacy, and presentation technology to elevate strategies and protect hard-earned reputations. Learn more at imslegal.com.